Yeah, it is. It's manufactured terror, and it's going to be put onto a scapegoat. It's Nazi tactics all over again, and they're turning it basically against those of us who want to restore the republic.
Well, we're going to go bankrupt if we don't stem the tide of illegal immigration. I mean, that's why Rome fell. And it'd be one thing if there wasn't welfare for these people, and if we, taught them about the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, they joined the Freedom Tribe, because we're all tribal. So we better have a tribe of freedom and liberty and get past skin color. But if we don't do that, then we've got to kick these people out. We've got to shut the borders down because the globalists are using them as a political weapon. Great points, Mike. Stay there. We're going to come back, talk about this and other subjects. We're going back to Mike Rivero here in just a moment and your phone calls. I want to get into the distractions he's talking about. Sure, the oil spill's a big deal. It's important, especially to people in Florida and the Gulf Coast. But it's being used as a distraction as they try to pass cap and trade, as they try to pass open borders, as they try to pass, more importantly, the banking reform bill that gives the mega banks total control over the financial system, tracks everything you do, live time in your bank account. It's not enough that the feds already have access. Now, by law, they're going to be in your bank account. Anti-Second Amendment legislation going on, all these Supreme Court vacancies coming up, all of these incredibly central issues are being ignored, and the public formation of world government being announced in Forbes and AP to be run by the banks, that is not on the front burner or even the back burner, or the latest bailout of Greece, which is just a payoff to banks. That is not being discussed. Now, I've made 2 films last year, Obama Deception and Fall of the Republic, that chronicle all of what the banking cartel is doing, the police state they're setting up, how they're preparing to demonize conservatives and libertarians and anybody who's against globalization. Those films are so important. You may know all about the New World Order. A lot of you know more than I do. But your friends, your family, your neighbors, they don't. And they're ready to be awakened now. There has never been an awakening this big happening. That's all the mainstream media covers, is the awakening and how we're all a bunch of terrorists. They're scared, ladies and gentlemen, that we're finding out about the illegitimate banking cartel that's taken over our society. So I want to encourage you to visit the online video bookstore at Infowars.com and get the Obama Deception and Fall of the Republic, the highest quality DVDs, to make copies of them and get them out to everyone you know, to get the new film, Police State, The Rise of FEMA, a year in the making. This proves the FEMA camps' existence, how they want to roll these things out, how they're militarizing the police, how they're selling the public on the end of posse comitatus, the executive orders. People need to see this. I mean, they need to know in this 2-hour, 20-plus minute film what's really going on. And if they watch this film and the extras, they will basically have a master's degree in the police state takeover. My 16 years of research, my 15 years on air, all the latest information, the latest false flag terror attacks like the underwear bomber, the naked body scanners, it's all in this film, Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. And, of course, Jason Bermas's new film, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. I mean, this film is just indescribable. It covers it all. Government narcotics trafficking, white slavery, how they blackmail the gay members of Congress and the callboy rings, and how the CIA and COG system has taken over America. This film's getting rave reviews. It's available with the expanded extras on DVD at Infowars.com, or you can watch the live/TV radio show. When you're a PrisonPlanet.tv member, read my book, Paul Watson's book, that are both out of print. Thousands and thousands of interviews, 6+ years of operation, 15 cents a day, $5.95 a month, and it is your purchases, it is your membership, it is your support of the show that allows us to continue and to operate. You can also call toll-free 888-253-3139. And basically, it's like a donation when you buy the books and videos and T-shirts and material. But then the materials are also key tools in educating people. So 888-253-3139, or you can write to me, P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. And I want to thank you all for your support in the InfoWar. You're the reason we've had so much success. Okay, going back to Mike Rivero, I want to go to calls, Mike. But I wanted, and I haven't even asked you, but I want to see what you think is important. Any other political issues, any other items, things that the media isn't focusing on, things you think we should be focusing on, things that you're concerned about?
Well, my major concern on a global scale as we watch the situation unfold in Greece is that so far everybody's solution to every problem in government is to basically take more money away from the people and to simply move it around. And because of the very nature of the reserve banking system, the problem is that people are running out of money to tax. In fact, there was an article we ran this morning over at whatreallyhappened.com where California is bemoaning the fact that because their state tax revenues have fallen despite numerous tax increases. In fact, right now, California is considered the most business-unfriendly state in the entire country. But because tax revenues continue to fall, they don't see a recovery going on. And what we're seeing is this kind of willful government blindness where they still see the American people as this vast pool of untapped capital that they could just go out and grab some more when they need it. And unfortunately, the money has become so concentrated in just a few pockets, there isn't enough money out here for commerce to be taking place. I'm seeing whole segments of the economy begin to shut down because everybody is holding, you know, invoices for everybody else. We're owed money by people. They can't pay us because the people who owe them can't pay them because the people who owe them can't pay them. And for an economic system to be a system, money has to be flowing at all levels, and we've lost that. And our government doesn't seem to see it. And even worse, and this is another article we linked to from whatreallyhappened.com, it's coming out now that even as our Congress was bad-mouthing derivatives and short-selling, they were personally invested in them. And for those who, like me, were wondering why we didn't seem to see the government do anything to try and improve the economy as a whole, we're now learning, this is coming from Business Insider, that our Congress were right there with Goldman Sachs putting money in their pocket as America collapsed. And this is probably why they were laughing so outrageously when they pushed TARP through. Congress isn't the solution. They're part of the problem. They're profiting from the destruction of the American dream right now.
And they know what they're doing. I mean, the biggest funders on record of the fake environmental movement, there are real environmental issues, folks, get that straight. But what controls and dominates the modern environmentalist movement is a system of taking private property, shutting down industry, because you have the banking cartel waging war against the real economy, against the individual generation of private wealth. And so they want a financial VAT, they want an overall economy-wide VAT on top of income taxes. Multiple states every month are passing laws to jack up taxes on food for everyone. They are ordering police to write more tickets while they lay off police to actually respond to crime. They're ordering police to only go out and generate revenue. So it's shifting to a pure parasite economy. And the more they wreck the economy, the more people go on welfare, the more people are dependent. And so this is really a form of slavery that is taking place. And I guess the only silver lining here is the elites for the last 3 years have been moving out of Western Europe and the United States and buying armored redoubts and private security forces. So that shows me they're planning to fully implode it and leave. That's a little better, I guess, than fully imploding and then sitting on top of us. So it looks like there's some method to the madness, but it's more just a pell-mell final looting and robbery that's going on.
Well, basically, the problem is that we're dealing with a segment of our society who are addicted to money. They've already got more money than any one human could ever possibly need for an entire lifetime, but it's never enough. And if you really look at their behavior from the point of view of addiction, where, you know, they got to have more than the guy next to them, they got to have more than they had last year. I mean, I tell this joke about, you know, they're piling up all these notes in their living room, and they take off their clothes and roll around on the money and have a really good time and everything. But the reality is, it is addictive behavior. And, you know, this is why we're almost in need of an intervention here, because like any other addict, they're perfectly blind to the damage they cause to everybody around them in their quest for the next fix. And so as a result, I think what's going on here, we're seeing this accumulation of complete greed, and it's part of a larger evolution. When this country was started, the founders went out of their way to avoid private central banks as any at all involved with the currency of the people. We've had 3 private central banks. Even so, when I was a kid, I remember it was still possible to go through your life without involving the bank except for a mortgage and or car loan. Now we've reached the point where the banks are trying to move so that everything you do in life has to go through them. They want a cashless society. They want everything on the plastic. So everything that you do, they get a few pennies. They get a piece of the action, like the mafia. And it's just this desire to absolutely have all of life go through the clutches of the banking system. And you're right, it is a form of slavery. And I think people are getting very angry about it, which is, you know, we're starting to see the expressions of outrage and rage against the banks now.
But the government is saying in all these manuals, if you criticize the banks, you're a violent terrorist. If you criticize the bailouts, they are directly training the police and military. You work for Wall Street, you work for the banks. And I remember a professor, one of the heads of the Army War College, what was it, on C-SPAN about 7 years ago, he gave a speech and said, we're setting up a new world order. The Pentagon works for Wall Street. We don't work for the American people. So at the highest levels of the Pentagon, this is a guy addressing generals, they are just admitting the reality of what they've done, and it's a big, sick joke to them.